Welcome to the Genzio Media House. Today we are here with Joonatan, the CEO and co-founder of Phaver. Joonatan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, very happy to be here.
Yeah, right on. Well, where'd you come from? What brings you to East Denver?
Well, came from Helsinki via Paris, so I was there for NFT Paris over the last weekend, and based in Finland, but traveling all around. This is my third East Denver now, so that was actually the first one I ever came to for crypto.
Sweet. And has every time that you've come to East Denver been with Phaver?
Yeah. I had like a dark side past of Web2 social media advertising, and then decided to make amends and try to build Web3 two years ago.
There you go. Right on. Now, 3 years in East Denver with Phaver. How long has Phaver been around?
We've been around for, in total, about 4 years. Initially, we did like a Web2 recommendation app. Then we realized that influencers are too greedy to do genuine recommendations. They just want to get paid for everything.
Right.
And then realized that actually there's something way, way bigger to be built in the Web3 space, especially around social.
Sure.
So that was 2 years ago. And then we've been kind of crunching that and going through every conference since.
Okay. And what kind of started that realization for you?
I think one of the kickers was that we were initially thinking like, hey, now crypto is becoming trendy. Like, let's add a cryptocurrency into our influencer app. Maybe then they'll care. And pretty quickly realized that, let's just realize that this idea is not worth fixing, and putting crypto on something artificially is might be like fixing it for a moment, but it's not really making any genuine utility for anyone.
Yeah.
And then started realizing that actually one of the key reasons why we were trying to build a Web2 recommendation app was that all the creators in Web2 have zero monetization routes in their actual content creation, and that's why a lot of them are forced to start shilling random stuff they don't actually like, which is actually really bad for them and their personal brand. It's bad for their followers who end up getting annoying shills, and it's also bad for like the world, because then people end up buying stuff that they don't really need, they don't really want, and it's often actually terrible quality. But if Kardashians told you that it's amazing, then you have to get it.
Right.
And we were kind of trying to fix one of the kind of issues first, but then we realized that actually Web3 social can actually fix the root cause of that. So if people don't have to go and kind of sell advertising in their feed, then we don't have to worry about are they promoting the right stuff. Then they do it if they want to, but they should be compensated for the actual content they're creating.
Sure. I think that's funny you bring up the Kardashians. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind when you say that is when Kim Kardashian shilled Emacs about 2 years ago. And I think that was the ultimate top signal, right? 2021, you got
Speed all downhill from there.
Yeah, it sure has. We're almost above that now. But so let's kind of dig into Phaver. Maybe what exactly is Phaver? What do you guys do, and how can people access it?
Yeah, so the kind of short description, Phaver is a Web3 social app, but the bigger kind of idea behind it is that we're trying to build sort of a next generation social graph that's not just based on one source. So we are built on the Lens protocol. We're the biggest app on Lens right now, which is one of the big social protocols. We'll be adding Farcaster soon, but we're also supporting all of your other NFT-based assets. So if you have a Bored Ape, if you have a POAP from an event, anything else that you pretty much have in your various wallets, the idea is that we can actually build you a social graph based on all of that. And then that also means that, for example, as a creator, if you've been giving all of your fans a soulbound token, or as an artist, they've been minting one of your songs, then we already support token-gated experiences where, let's say as an artist, if you've been allowing people to mint your fan passes or tickets or albums or songs or anything else for that matter, then we can natively take any NFT or soulbound token and use that as the gate for that kind of exclusive experience.
Okay.
So I think as part of kind of letting the creators take more control over their audience is that they should be choosing how they connect with their audience. So it can be a Lens follow, it can be a Farcaster follow, but it can be something that they've allowed people to mint in their own platform or somewhere else.
Sure.
And because the entire blockchain is kind of interoperable, it means that we don't have to worry about the APIs and the permissions and all of that. We can just take anything you have and use that as a pass for something.
Sweet. I think that's pretty cool, and I also believe that market for those gated communities is already proven, right? You look at Bake, you look at so many of these NFTs, even token like Discords, they'll have private rooms for holders, right? So having kind of an aggregate platform for that, I think, is very, useful, and the market for that is already proven. How would you say adoption has gone for Phaver? How many users do you guys have right now? What are maybe some of your hottest markets?
Yeah, we've been growing for roughly 2 years now. We've been growing pretty much linearly. So we have about 320,000 installs for the app, about 50,000 weekly active users right now. And that's kind of after we've been putting a lot of effort into banning all of the bots and duplicate accounts.
Okay. Yeah.
So obviously kind of most metrics in Web3 are really hard to analyze, whether they're fully bogus or only half bogus. Even if it's all on-chain metrics, it doesn't mean that it's all genuine users. But we very much acknowledge that social media with fake users is completely useless. It's actually a net negative for people. So even if it would be tempting to allow every bot account in and inflating your numbers, it's actually going to be hurting the process significantly. So we're spending a lot of time and effort both on detecting the bots and detecting the abusers, but also we've been building this credibility score where you can actually connect your on-chain assets or do a basic KYC if you want to, not mandatory. Mm-hmm. And then with that, you can actually start kind of building more credibility inside the application and trying to figure out how do we actually make it kind of fun and gamified for the users to show that you're a genuine person.
Sure.
And that's kind of where the token gated communities come in as well. So if, let's say, you are an ape holder, everybody's going to try to rug you out of your ape. But then if you have a gated community where it's 100% certain that every single person inside the community also owns a genuine Bored Ape, then that brings you that sort of level of trust. So even if you don't know somebody, you know that at least they are part of that community.
Right.
They could have obviously rugged somebody else and the ape was stolen, but it's at least one step further in the process. There's nowhere, there's no perfect solution.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. Well, I guess, where did Phaver come from?
As a name or as an idea, or
as an idea, you said you had a Web 2 background, right? And then Phaver kind of turned out from that. What brought you into that Web 2 social media in the first place?
So kind of my background is I used to work for Google back in the day in ad sales, and then I was scaling up one big Facebook marketing partner. So we were working with clients like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Spotify here in the US, and pays well and it's nice and easy job, but you're definitely not making the world any better.
Sure.
And that was kind of what was a constant nagging feeling that I could be doing something that might actually have a positive impact on the world. Then I started talking to one of my university friends, Tommy, who's now my co-founder and CFO. He had an even darker side career. He was a Goldman Sachs banker.
Okay.
And was also feeling I could be doing something more impactful with my skill set.
Sure.
And then we kind of started building something, wrote down the first value, net positive impact. So whatever we want to end up doing in the end, let's do something that actually leaves the world better than it was before it.
Right.
And ad tech is probably not that.
Sure.
Most of crypto is also not that, but I think there are things that can genuinely make the world better.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a good starting point for figuring out what we want to do. Then turns out making influencers' lives better wasn't enough and wasn't really even working. But then we started building on the Web3 side. Initially, the thought was kind of let's allow people to share their content recommendations, the best YouTube videos, the best tweets, and so on. But then we started realizing that actually people are posting a lot more original content and they want to be creating their own content on the platform. Then we started talking to the Aave team, who were at that point kind of in stealth mode building Aave Social, that then became Lens Protocol.
Gotcha.
And we realized that, hey, this is exactly what we need in the background, because we had this kind of thinking that we could be building our own Web3 NFT profiles. But it's kind of like you're giving people a key, but then you can change the locks at any point because you have the only lock where that key is actually useful for.
Yeah.
So if you want to give people genuine control and ownership, that means that if they choose to leave and take their data, that data needs to be utilizable somewhere else. And that's kind of the big question that Lens solved on day one, is that if we allow people to back up everything into Lens Protocol, there are other apps on Lens Protocol. It means that we go from that don't be evil to can't be evil, like Chris Dixon put it, where if we turn out to be evil, then people are just going to be going to the other apps.
Gotcha.
And it's actually way more fun to build that way because you're directly accountable to your community.
Sure. Right on. And what are some of those pillars that you really grab onto with Phaver that, you mentioned you really wanted to change things up and do something that would benefit the world in a positive way. So if you can maybe summarize the main pillar in one sentence that you feel Phaver is doing that for you, what would that be?
Yeah, it's actually a very complex and nuanced part where one sentence might be a bit tricky, but I think there's a couple of the key things. So it all boils down to ownership. So if the users are in control and own their own content, they own their own followers and everything else, that makes them a genuine stakeholder in the whole equation. Mm-hmm. And by that, it means that we need to take them into account. We need to reward them fairly, and we need to treat them as a partner instead of a monetizable pair of eyeballs like Facebook does. And from there comes everything else. So at that point, it's how do we build a rewarding user experience for them? How do we start building high-quality audiences? How do we build trust? How do we handle the fact that AI is probably going to be producing most of the content in social in a year from now? How do we make sure that blockchain might be actually the way to detect who are the genuine people and who are just AI bots?
Totally.
So yeah, not an easy and simple solution because there's a lot of worms in that can.
Sure.
But I think blockchain can actually be the solution for almost all of the big problems, either directly or indirectly, the big problems of social, that is. Not all the problems in the world, sadly.
Right.
There's maxis who think that as well, but...
Yeah, right. Well, is there anything exciting that we can look forward to with Phaver in the coming months, years?
Yeah, I think,
milestones?
Hopefully plenty of exciting stuff. I think the stuff that people have been asking for a long time, we're getting closer and closer to TGE, so rolling out our token. And what's been actually kind of funny to see is that a lot of experts in the industry are now starting to talk about points, and the kind of points are the great proxy for airdrops and rewarding loyalty. Mm-hmm. We've been doing that for the last 2 years for exactly those same reasons that are now being communicated. So we saw that if you want to build a nice user experience for people, especially 2 years ago when, for example, Lens was heavily gated. They only went permissionless this week, actually. So for 2 years, we haven't been able to onboard all the users onto Lens or Farcaster or any of the other protocols. So we had to build a system where a lot of that stuff is Web 2, so it's all in Google Cloud, and everybody can join. We haven't been gating the access to Phaver at any point. But then the point system is a way for us to reward those early users who are genuinely creating value. And it's also somehow kind of a test net for us. So if somebody rugs us and is able to farm 2 million points by doing really shady stuff, if it violates our guidelines, we can still take those points away from them, or at least give them a haircut on that. And with tokens, that's obviously not possible. So it allows us to experiment more. But yeah, now we're finally getting to a point where the token is going to be coming out, and then people can start redeeming based on their credibility score and the amount of points they've been earning in the system. So that's kind of the first step towards rewarding those creators and curators.
Right on. Well, is there anything else about Phaver before we wrap this up you'd like to talk about?
I think to just kind of summarize that for anybody who hasn't tried Phaver, we're on the App Store and Google Play Store. As mentioned, we're not gated in any way, so anybody can join. If you want an invite code, you can use my name, Joonatan, so Joonatan with the weird Finnish spelling, to get in, and you get an extra 1,000 points when you level up. And indeed, the points will be transferring into an airdrop in the near future. And the way to earn more points and ramp up your level is connect all of your wallets, connect your assets. So the more cool NFTs you have and the more stuff you have there and the more active you are, the more you can actually be leveling up and earning in the system.
Sweet. Well, I think I'll probably connect and sign up for that airdrop there. That's, super exciting. Always got to take advantage of those. And, look forward to checking out the platform as well. It seems very cool what you guys are building. And thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. I think it's been great. I think Phaver is a great project. It's really nice to hear where it comes from, not just, the background, but kind of the philosophy behind it. I think that's something that most people in Web3 can get behind. Look forward to seeing that TGE event and all the other exciting things that you guys will be coming out with. Thank you so much for hopping on the podcast again, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.